Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. This is the pregame analysis of the Browns versus the Lions. And joining me is Brian on the panel. Somebody else might jump in later, but hey, it's just the two of us. And, usually I like to start out real factually and going into the stats of the team that we're playing and all that. But I do want to start out with something that really is an illustration, and I want to be able to take the onus away from the whole Baker Mayfield thing and really put this in focus. What is wrong with the Cleveland Browns and why the Cleveland Browns have to get serious about terminating their defensive coordinator. And I'm going to read what he said in his most latest press conference when he was point blank asked, "What is the identity of your defense?" And his direct quote, I'm reading this: "Our identity is being multiple because the offenses don't know what they're going to get," Wood said. "When your game plan is, who do we have to take away? Who do we have to stop? And how are we going to do it? It will change slightly week to week. It won't be pressure all the time. It won't be zone all the time. I just really believe in the mix." Now, I'm going to have some fun, and people in chat room can play along with my little game. And I want to see examples of it in the chat room because this is a fun game. All right. I'm going to do Eric Clapton now. "Oh, I'm not going to play Tears in Heaven or Layla. I'm going instead to play something non-guitar oriented and eclectic because I really believe in the mix." I want to see examples of this. Andy Warhol: "I think I'm going to concentrate this time around on landscapes." Can you imagine if we lived in a world of Joe Woods, Jeff Lynne of Electric Light Orchestra?
Oh, geez.
"I think what we're going to do here is get rid of the strings because I really believe in the mix." It's I cannot imagine answering a question that way, and it's an acknowledgement, correct, that the defense has no identity. But that's not true about our offense, Tom. It has an identity. We may not like the identity, but at least there is some method to the madness. It kind of sounds like Joe Woods is playing 52 pickup. It's like, I'll give you the ultimate example. "Yeah, this week I know what they're thinking, and they're thinking we're going to go after Mac Jones because he's a rookie quarterback and go with the pressure, and we're going to lay back. We're going to lay back more in the zone." Then in Cincinnati, it's like, I think we're going to bring pressure and we're going to pressure the hell out of Burrow, and it's a win. And the week before, I think we're going to lay back this time, and it's a loss. It's like he just randomly decides to select which identity he wants to pursue, and that's what he does. And that is the explanation as to what is wrong with our football team. I know that if I played an offensive position, and that was week in, week out, a 52 pickup strategy as far as how we're going to approach, without even really, anybody with half a brain would know you have a rookie quarterback who throws a lot of interceptions, you pressure him, and you bring heat, except our guy. He's really interested in the mix. How did he get the goddamn job? How do you interview with that? I really don't believe. I don't really think that there's any identity. I'm just trying to be just kind of. Oh, Adolf Hitler. I don't like this idea of me being portrayed as being inhuman and as just being aggressive. I think this time we are going to go slowly and we're going to discard the blitzkrieg. I mean, history states that everybody has an identity. People who are popular, famous for something, have an identity. Except the Cleveland Browns defense, where we drafted all these players and now they're stuck playing a musical chair. Guess where we're going to play and how we're going to play this week. And it's why they can't change anything in the course of games because they've been prepared to play that way. Now, Coach said there's no pressure this week. No pressure on Mac. Boy, we made Mac look good, didn't we? Just unbelievable. I mean, I think of all the things in my mind, John F. Kennedy. Just keep asking what your country can do for you. I'm like, how do you come up with somebody who fucks up an entire identity or scheme? It doesn't matter who the front office drafted, who you got as a free agent. It's like, yeah, we're going to do it this way this time, and it's just kind of scattershot. That's who we are. The offense will never be good. And the reason the offense will never be good is that they will consistently know that the defense, literally half the time they play, will be in the wrong identity because Joe Woods is mentally retarded. He does not have an idea or a clue. Look at him. As he's doing the press conference, there's not even a light on, folks. The man's ignorant. He doesn't know. And why does he have full say? Why hasn't somebody throttled him by this point? God only knows. But I know that if I were Baker Mayfield and I was playing with a hurt shoulder in two different places, a fracture and a tear, and I couldn't really do bootlegs, if my coach started calling bootlegs and I have to throw across my body, ripping my left arm open, it's disheartening. It's disheartening to be Myles Garrett and say, well, you're not going to get any help, Myles. You're going to get chipped all day by the goddamn running back. Oh, and by the way, they're going to be dropping back. So as soon as he chips you and stops you, he's just going to run out about 3 yards, catch the screen pass, and go 25 yards with it every time. It's disheartening. Baker Mayfield can't be who you want him to be, playing from behind like that. And playing from behind in an offensive scheme that is predominantly run-oriented and tight end-oriented. You're just lowering the boom on the wrong guy. And there is no quarterback, not one in the NFL, who would succeed in Cleveland the way that it's designed right now. Not one. You want to see how okay becomes terrible? Why don't we talk about Jared Goff, who looks like he's not going to play? When he was with the Rams, when he first started out, people said, boy, we said spindly legs, and we said he's not overly quick or overly big. He doesn't have an overly strong arm, but, hey, look at him go in L.A. He's doing good. And he was surrounded with a really good offensive scheme, and he had really good receivers. But lo and behold, he was another guy who kind of straddled the line of mediocrity. He gets shipped out to the Detroit Lions, and look at him now. He's got oblique injuries. He's only thrown for 8 touchdowns with 6 interceptions. Can't do anything, averaging 5.5 yards per attempt. And you're going to tell me that any quarterback could just walk into Detroit and turn that motherfucker around? Hell no. And you know what the head coach is saying in the Detroit Lions? Dan Campbell is saying we're going to run the ball, and run the ball. Those are the three things that we're going to do. I think his name is Sledgehammer. Well, at least he has an idea of what his team's identity is. It's not throwing the ball down the field, but he did get them to run for 220 yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He did do that. Unfortunately, that identity isn't going to win in the NFL, as he has found out through his first 9 games. So, to sit there and point your finger at Baker, it's like, wrong. And let's bring T-Tosh into the stream here. Hi, T-Tosh. I'm just... It bothers me because if you had to go out onto the field knowing that your defense was going to fuck up one way or another in half the games that you play in, you'd press a little harder. You'd try to do some things that maybe you couldn't do. And maybe if the receivers are not open downfield, you might try to force 1 or 2 in. But that's what it is. You cannot have a defense that is without identity and teams coming in and laughing at us. Nobody feels sorry for you. New England didn't feel sorry for us. They just rolled over us.
They did in the fourth quarter.
Well, we were in the wrong scheme for the get-go. The whole defensive scheme was incorrect, and it has been in several games this year. And it has cost us.
The guys on the field couldn't weren't keeping up with whatever the audibles were.
Well, nobody had a single problem with Baker Mayfield in Cincinnati, did they? Didn't have a single problem with him. Threw the ball down the field, got the job done, the running game worked, and the defense came up with plays, and they played press coverage, and they blitzed, and they put pressure on Burrow and beat him up. Nobody was crying about Baker Mayfield when they win 41-16. Nobody cry about that. You know when they cry about him? They cry about him when he's hurt, he's injured, and you're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the running game goes down to hell, and they abandon it, and Baker is forced to throw against a defense that knows what he's going to do. Our identity is unfortunately like a safe combination that everybody knows. The safe isn't going to stay locked for long. So...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's amazing. I have that same combination on my luggage.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... So what I can tell you is that's the problem with the Browns. Who knows what this clown is going to come up with from week to week. But that is the demise of the team because we have an offensive coordinator, head coach, who is possession by possession, consume clock, and is not a quick strike guy, and a front office who did not draft any quick strike receivers. Our quickest strike is coming back to us, Nick Chubb, this weekend. He's the guy. Can you believe it? He's the big play guy. It's all on his shoulders because we don't have a wide receiver who could make a single big play. So the identity of the offense is clear. We play 3 tight ends. We throw the ball down the middle of the field, and we don't go deep because we don't have any speed at the wide receiver position. So that's the second thing that's wrong. But I just wanted to say this about Joe Woods because it doesn't matter what the Cleveland Browns do, really. Doesn't matter. As long as he's out there, we're done for. We're never going to be anything better than a 500 football team because he's just going to arbitrarily just kind of pull his defensive scheme out of a hat because he's in love with the Knicks. I got no idea. Maybe he meant the Knicks. He thought he was being asked about the NBA. I have no idea. at any rate, that's what I have to say about him. Yeah, T-Tosh.
How sick was Nick Chubb?
You're going to have to speak up. Your microphone is...
Hello, testing better?
Yeah, do you have any other way of turning that microphone up?
I do. I have a preamp right here. Testing 1, 2. Are you there?
Ah, beautiful, babe.
We're on radio. Yeah, radio for Europe. Hey, how sick was Nick Chubb compared to how sick Miles was last year coming back from COVID?
Oh, yeah, that is a fair question. They asked him that, and he said that he had one day of feeling really bad, and then his follow-up after that was that he just got better right away. This was a non-entity, a conversation starter. But the fact that he still had virus in his system and was not testing. You see, again, we have 100% vaccination, and most people, not all, most people who are vaccinated will have lesser symptoms from this shit. And he was a good example. But he was still testing positive, so they couldn't let him off the reserve list until he tested negative twice within a 24-hour period. But he was never ill, sick, down, and whatever. And it also serves purpose so that the Lions find out at the last minute that Chubb is going to be playing, and who knows what that does to Dan Campbell.
John Kelly has also been cleared.
They all have. So has Felton. Every one of them who had this. I don't know about Nick Harris. I haven't heard about that yet. But it would appear that all of them just had like a day of really feeling bad. And then after that, it was a quick turnaround. Kind of like what happened to some people when they took the vaccine in the first place, that they had that big reaction, the immune system reaction, and that made them get symptoms, and then it just cleared out. I see no reason why. I mean, I'm assuming, based on what Chubb said at his press conference, he was doing exercises and things to keep himself limbered up, and he's not going to get a full workload. But the fact that we have 3 running backs, Dearness, himself, and we have Kelly, will, the load will get shared.
Machine Gun Kelly is still contaminated by the vagina of Kylie Jenner.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that. I didn't really ask for it, but I guess I got it.
Yeah.
Rick May did.
Yeah. And
blame Rick. Rick, it's all your fault.
I'm getting my booster beginning of next week, and I never had any reaction to the Moderna shots, but I know people who were down for 24 hours with flu symptoms, and it felt like they had the flu, and then the next morning they woke up and it was mysteriously gone.
Yeah, the first 2 shots was nothing. When I got the booster, it was like, whoa, what happened? And
really?
Like I was laid up. It's like both my wife and I didn't get sick at all, or any feeling from the first 2 Moderna shots. And then after the booster shot, I was like, wow, something's not right. So I had to spend a day in bed. Not as bad as the shingle shot, but it was effective. But it'll be different. It's like everybody's immune system will react differently.
Yeah, and your body reacted differently on 2 different occasions, so you just don't know.
No.
And I'm going to find out, I guess, at the beginning of next week how it's going to go down. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't think that's an issue with Nick Chubb, nor do I think with Dimitri Felton. I don't think that that's an issue. So that's a positive for us. Another thing, so I can put something to bed. Fox's Jay Glazer actually had dinner with the head coach of the Rams after he joined the Browns, right after he joined the Browns. And the horrible truth of the matter is that he had the stupidity to tell Jay Glazer of Fox that he was saying, hey, get me here, get me to LA. And he said this to Glazer, find me a way to get to LA. That's where I want to be. This was right after he signed with the Browns. This is a cancer you can just do without. The reason the team plays better without him is because he's a human piece of waste. You don't do that. You don't, the fact is, if somebody, if you're traded somewhere and you don't want to play that somewhere, but you're getting paid for that from that somebody, if that's the way you handle it, that you just go off and start talking to people in the press saying, if you know anybody in LA, let them know that that's where I really want to be. And that's what he said to Glazer.
Was that
Well, and
OBJ?
Yep.
I got 50% of my prediction right. One tipped pass or one intended pass went for an interception to Beckham. I said it was going to be 2.
Yeah, I'll share with you, T-Tosh. You look a little glazed over from what Glazer had to say.
Isn't he an MMA guy or something? What is his claim to fame? How come he's on TV?
Who?
Glazer. What is he
you're-
doing there in this little small suit? It's too small for him. I don't get why
it's a good question. But, he was on the Pat McAfee show, and he said Odell wanted to go to L.A. the whole time, even after he got traded to the Browns. He told me he wanted to get to the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is something that is, and then, and speaking on Fox NFL, he also said that Beckham had been trying to go play with Sean McVay for years and years and years. In fact, we had a dinner one night, Beckham said, and I said to him, Coach, you got to come get me. You got to come get me. So don't be feeling sorry.
No.
The real problem is that we just don't have enough wide receivers. And we didn't when he was here because his heart was never here. His body, his soul was never here. He just, he's like J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith gave us 1 year, but, he didn't belong in Cleveland, and he made it perfectly clear that he wanted to be somewhere else. These guys are all very similar. Kyrie Irving, they're all very similar, and who knows where they really want to be, because I think they're very uncomfortable in their own skin. And I hate to start sounding like Dr. Phil, but, happiness is, you can have a very successful career like Joe Thomas and never win diddly squat, literally. Losing record after losing record, you can still take pride in the work that you do, for God's sakes.
So
Next
what
on
did you
the
think? What did you think of what Belichick did to Atlanta yesterday?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, nobody
Pretty
said
atypical.
Oh my God! And then so they put the backup quarterback in, Josh Rosen, so I know from UCLA, and all that. He throws the interception, and then the coach says, "Okay, we're going to punish you. We're going to put the third guy in and see how good he does." First pass he throws.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Well,
Just bad.
The fact is, Belichick's teams notoriously play better in the back half of the season, and they've ramped it up.
Yeah,
That game I didn't even watch because I knew what was going to happen. This I really think is funny. The NFL memo reiterating the emphasis on discouraging acts of taunting or disrespect, talking about selective. What they call taunting, God only knows, but I will read to how this is. Appropriate celebration, enthusiasm, and sharing great moments with our teammates and fans is encouraged. NFL Senior Vice President of Officiating, Training, and Development, Walt Anderson, said, the emphasis by the NFL to discourage acts of taunting or disrespect when you direct actions toward an opponent or his bench will continue. Officials are instructed to call fouls on actions that demonstrate that disrespect. But I have a problem right off the bat. They want to be able to call something taunting, yet they insist on allowing certain teams to intentionally start fights on the field and throw the flag on the person who reacts to it. I've watched this for years, and they'll show the thing, and there'll be a guy playing for the Patriots or the Steelers or the Ravens or whoever the NFL's favorite teams are, and be saying stuff like, yeah, shove this ball up your mother's cunt, whatever shit they might be saying. And, and there's players are standing around. Finally, the guy does this motion and the other guy swings back at him and then they throw the flag. I've seen this 100 times. The retaliation flag. How can we trust the NFL? How could we trust the NFL deciding what taunting is when they can't even see it in front of their own face? It's ridiculous. Derek can't be with us because he's in a Starbucks drive-thru.
Yeah, I told him he's supporting socialism.
Got to be supporting something, I guess. But there is good news, fans. Chubb is back. That's good. And Felton is back. This will give us some forward momentum in our home park to get back a little bit of our tarnished image. Maybe the offensive line will be really psyched to go after him, knowing that Chubb's going to be handling the ball. The DPJ still not practicing.
Oh, wow.
They were hoping, and they're still hoping that he can actually go on Sunday. But having just tweaked it the other day, it looks questionable there. And definitely, you're going to open him up downfield to run fly patterns with that? I don't think so. So you're going to have to do something defensively. And as far as the Lions are concerned, Tim Boyle could be sounds like a skin lesion. Tim Boyle could be their starting quarterback. I never believe anything.
Vance Boyle, ace gynecologist to the star.
Yeah. I don't believe anything until I see it on the field, but an oblique injury before, they don't heal. And the reason they don't heal is because everything you do that twists, raises your arm, the throwing motion, they had Jared Goff throwing before practice. It's kind of like when they have a pitcher in baseball doing simulated games in the bullpen, and they say, okay, you're going to be on this kind of a pitch count, but 20 pitches in, they start feeling discomfort and they shut him down. Well, obviously something went wrong with Jared Goff because he didn't practice today. And Tim Boyle has been taking all of the snaps with the first string. If you don't know who Tim Boyle is, you're not alone.
Wow.
He's a guy who went to Eastern Kentucky. He went to 2 schools, I want to say, but nothing that, he had one preseason game where he was like 5 of 8 passing or something. The guy literally has no track record whatsoever, except that he threw 26 interceptions between the 2 colleges that he played for.
Okay.
So I wonder if we're going to play soft coverage. What I heard was that DPJ, now I want a confirmation on him practicing today. I know yesterday he did off the field work, and there was a feeling that it was leaning negative on him for Sunday. And Tack McKinley, I didn't even read about him. But again, the more pass rushers, the better. Whether it's Jared Goff or it's Tim Boyle, you've got to put pressure on the quarterback. Mary Kay reporting on the Civil War. Yeah, well, Mary Kay is in a world of her own. So there is that to look forward to, is that our running game should be somewhat, although still Kareem Huntless, somewhat up to speed. Our passing game, it worries me because there's just nobody open downfield. Finally, I mean, you start looking at the actual game film, and people who saw the game film said that there's just nobody open.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not something that, as a fan, we're complaining about. There's just nobody downfield, and it seems that press coverage just seems to shut these guys down. Somebody's going to have to play out of their mind. Rashard Higgins is going to have to come out of his coma and actually perform, because in a low-scoring game, I'm telling you, the Lions will win this time around because our guy doesn't know what our identity is. Dan Campbell is as dumb as a stump, but he is going to hang his on being rough and rugged and slam into people and play physically. Make mistakes, yes, but play very aggressively and physically. And in a close game, that can turn the tide if you make a big play. The Browns playing soft is not going to cut it.
Is Baker playing?
Baker's playing, yeah. Baker, and again,
Why?
I think he's practiced since Wednesday.
Yeah, and I think he sat Wednesday, but I think that Thursday and today he practiced. They said he looked all right. His mobility is, and this is what really hurts, because the play action sprint out is something that we have been utilizing so successfully since last year. And, the misdirection handoff with the bootleg going wide left and Baker finding his men 10, 12 yards down the field, and just really a very precision kind of oriented thing. I just, and hey, Be More Ravens Jr., thank you. And again, I think everybody knows that I don't hold a grudge against the city of Baltimore because of what Art Modell did. I got, my issue was with Art Modell, not with the city of Baltimore. And I'd like to see the Browns win this week so we can play two meaningful games back-to-back separated by a bye against the Ravens. It would be nice because you want to get to the big games and have a chance, so that if you can win those two games, which is asking a lot, but if you can win those two games over a 3-week period, you're right back in the race again. But you got to get by the Lions first. And right now the team is, from a morale perspective, really down after that New England game, and the press just keeps beating their head in. And it's Joe Woods who's just killing the organization. And he's the one who's opening his mouth saying stupid things in press conferences. You wonder why Myles Garrett says there's no adjustments being made. I mean, how would you feel if you're the best pass rusher in the game right now and you're playing Mac Jones and you find out, we're just going to drop everybody into coverage, and it's you four up front without Tack McKinley or anyone to come in and spell you? And go
this is the thing. This is the thing that irritates me. I think back to since we have our Baltimore people. Hey, Charles. Ray Lewis would hear the audible and literally change the entire defensive call on the fly to match whatever the offense is switching to shut it down. He and Peyton Manning called 5 or 6 different plays based on what the other one was doing.
Right. You didn't hear any kills from Baker. Well, all I heard from, what's his name, from New England guy, kill, kill, kill. He could read it and change it up, but nothing for us like that.
Yeah.
Well, and on the defensive side, when he's yelling kill, 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 they're not. You don't hear the defensive
Right.
players changing to match up or changing the coverage or changing.
What happened with Anthony Walker being the field general out for the defense? Whatever happened to that? I mean, this is what we were
I don't
reading.
see him doing it, and I don't see John Johnson doing that. And
No,
that's what
all
they
this
both do.
bullshit, all this bullshit that we read earlier in the year and heard from reporters and all, and from the team, it's just horseshit.
And I think that's coming from. I really think that that's coming from the coaching staff. That comes from Stefanski on the offense, and that comes from Woods on the defense. And it's killing the Browns.
Yeah, I mean it's and there's more to be happy about. I mean, JOK is ready to ramp it up. He only had 21 snaps against the Patriots, and he's ready to go more full bore. And again, should be all the more reason why you should be blitzing and should be getting back to the backfield. I mean, here's the truth. The Lions haven't been a productive running offense except for last week. Up to that point, they were only averaging like 3.8 yards per carry, but they had a really good game where they rushed for 220 yards against the Squealers. And so that kind of jacks up their overall stats, but they are not a strong running offense, and their running defense averages giving up 130 yards per game. So if you're the Cleveland Browns and you're facing the Detroit Lions, two things become evident. One, you should, with your group of offensive linemen and having your 2/3 of your complement of running backs, you should be able to beat them up in your home field and run them over and wear them out. You should be able to. And they are going to do what every other team has done. And Dan Campbell especially, because he's already said that this is the way, he's got the Cro-Magnon approach. He's going to come out and he's just going to put clubs in his guys' hands, and they're going to do everything they can to stop the run. Now, if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I got to let Baker roll out some. I know that his mobility isn't that good, but you've got to be able to throw things at them, because if you acknowledge before a game begins that this is verboten, we can't do this because he's hurt and this and that, it's just less that they have to prepare for. Catch somebody by surprise, but do it by playing within your strength. Baker Mayfield's greatest strength as a quarterback is his ability on the rollout to throw a strong, accurate ball, whether it's across his body or stepping into it. Where he is weakest, notoriously, is in 3rd and long situations with empty backfields. That is where he has not excelled. So if you put him into those situations by running the ball twice, and if they stop the run, and you're putting him in a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7 situation with an empty backfield, you could almost predict what's going to happen. I don't blame Baker Mayfield. Now, there are going to be people who say, well, he's not the guy who's going to win us a Super Bowl. I want to point out something. There are people who were very mediocre who won Super Bowls, Joe Flacco. There are people who were very mediocre who won Super Bowls, Hostetler. There's lots of people who have won Super Bowls, and Jim McMahon, who were not at any point regarded as Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So get over yourselves.
But what did they have? They had a killer defenses, all three of those quarterbacks. And you had
with an identity.
And you had Parcells, again, not with his face in the playbook. We're not going to give Buffalo, who's better than us, the ball. Did you see that second half of that Super Bowl? That was unbelievable. He just didn't invite Buffalo.
Well, and a lot of those teams had Hall of Fame running backs, too.
Yeah. I mean, and we've got the
Walter
running
Payton.
game.
Yeah.
Emmett Smith for Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman really wasn't a great quarterback, but He played in a fantastic fucking system and had Emmitt Smith in the backfield.
I mean,
He got
right
bailed
now we
out
have
by
an offensive
James Holden.
line. We have an offensive line and a group of running backs who are easily good enough to be Super Bowl worthy. And you have a quarterback who, if we're able to do what we're supposed to do on the ground, can play a disciplined game and not hurt us. Do I think that Baker Mayfield is going to be a guy who just, is just going to go back and wing it? No. Is he going to be a gunslinger? He may want to be, but I mean, I look at it this way. I'm looking at Pat Mahomes, who finally threw for 406 yards last week, and it's like, oh, he's back. But I'm watching him throwing off balance when guys are running him and getting away with it on a couple of occasions, and it's pure luck. But then when they start getting intercepted, it's like if you throw off your back foot in the NFL and you loft it up in the air, you're going to have turnovers. That's just the way it works. And if you're not able to control a pass rush, your quarterback's going to be on his back foot. And if he does not throw the ball out of bounds, then he is going to A, get hurt, and B, he's going to turn the ball over. Now, nobody is still talking about Joe Burrow throwing the whole game away against the Browns. Nobody is talking about that in the press because they love Joe Burrow. Because Joe Burrow is the next Jesus Christ. And he is. He's a good quarterback.
Yeah, he is.
I take nothing from him. But Baker Mayfield is a villain. And the reason that the Browns fans feel the way they do is because a lot of them are pussy Ohio State followers who remember the flag incident of Baker planting the flag. And, I had to hear the same bullshit. Remember when Braylon Edwards came to play for the Browns? I've had, during this show, every Michigan athlete who came down to play for this team, and the Ohio State fans would piss and moan. You know something? Then get your ass out of pro football and sit there and watch your CFP bullshit. Don't waste people's time. If you have a hate against Baker because he kicked Ohio State's ass, then so be it. If you're bitter, be bitter. But it's not a good reason in my book. We could win a Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield. A lot of things would have to go right, and you'd have to have a defense that has an identity. Amazing how that works. But it bothers me. It's like, he's not the guy who's going to win, Jim Kelly wasn't the guy who won Buffalo. Dan Marino wasn't the guy who won Miami a Super Bowl. Suck my dick. Get real. The whole career, he didn't win one. Dan Faust didn't win one. These people get into the Hall of Fame. They didn't win one. And, it's like, yeah, Dan Marino, boy, he just wasn't good enough to win that.
Earl Morrall had to win one for the Colts.
Yeah.
Remember that.
That's how John Unitas has a ring.
Yeah.
He was bad.
Upstate Pickers asking me this question? What's my opinion on Ron DeSantis?
I
Nah,
know
you don't want to hear about
unrelated.
Yeah. It's
Please don't go politics today, man. It's ugly. Don't even go there.
no, I'm not even going there.
It won't make anybody any friends today.
I'm too smart for that.
Please.
If you're looking at the stats for the Detroit Lions, they average
3 championships, but only 1 Super Bowl, Joe.
Yeah.
And they lost the 64 championship to the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland.
Yep. The average total is 29-17. That's what the Detroit Lions losses average out to be. They've only scored 150 points. It's been a big problem. It's not they have been able to move the ball to some degree, but not put it and stick it in the end zone. Only 16 touchdowns, and they've given up 28. The funny thing is they have almost as many first downs as their opponents. And they have more passing first downs than their opponents. but their third down efficiency is like 32% to 42% for their opponents. And believe it or not, they've gone for it on fourth down because they're in desperation because they lose all the time. And they're 10 of 23 on fourth down efficiency. So, they've been in a lot of close games. The problem is they can't stick the ball in the end zone. They have no red zone offense. I don't even want to see them in the red zone. I want to see Tim Boyle running for his fucking life. That's what I want to see. Then the headlines that are on, Pravda, clevelandbrowns.com. That's my permanent name for them is Pravda. You lose 45-7 to the Patriots, and clevelandbrowns.com, Browns edged by Patriots. It's like, okay. Headline, Browns D ready to step up and seize the great opportunity they have over the next 7 games.
Can we start calling Dan Labe or Baghdad Bob?
Yeah, right. The minister of disinformation. I mean, look, every opportunity is a great opportunity in every game that we played this year, and none was a better one than last week, and none was better than against the Steelers. Lots of great opportunities when you play divisional opponents. This is, and ready to step up. We've played 10 games. They haven't stepped up yet, really, except when they've been turned loose. So you're not going to get any help from a lot of these websites. And then we have Alex Van Pelt, quote, the Browns aren't at our best when we have to throw. And when you say things like this, it feeds the bear, because that's not exactly what Alex Van Pelt said. What he said is, we are not at our best when we have to throw, when we are far behind. It's like, hello, McFly, read the goddamn transcript. But of course, the subscriber exclusive on Cleveland.com just chops the quote, so it has no context. But the Browns' strength is not passing when they're down 21-7, and the Browns' weakness is not sticking with the run game when they're down 14-7. You're just going to hear honesty on this program. You're not going to hear company line bullshit. Then you've got this. You've got the caring one, the masturbator, Terry Pluto. And so that if you're not a fan of the Cleveland Browns, has been a member of the Journalistic Society of Cleveland for many, many years. And he had a faith infusion, I guess you would call it, where, he found God, and it happened to be in his walk-in closet, which was really a strange thing, and God started talking to him in a closet.
Didn't have to drive. Yes,
exactly right. And the bottom line is, Terry Pluto then felt it was necessary to write an article, this is many, many years ago, of how he was sinful and a masturbator, a compulsive masturbator, and that Jesus gave him the strength to say that. So when he says, give beat up Baker Mayfield a week off, I wonder what he's talking about. I don't want beat and Terry Pluto in the same sentence.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm being half serious.
Yeah, okay.
Baker Mayfield, give him a week off and play Case Keenum. Plays right into their hands. Like, we don't need this. I mean...
But I would rather have a healthier...
Yeah.
Mayfield against the Ravens for those 2 games than worry about the fucking Lions.
There is no Ravens game if we don't beat the Lions. Okay? That's A. And B, as far as him getting better, you think a bye week is going to correct the torn labrum and a fractured shoulder bone? Come on. He is what he is right now. He is not. He's not going to get better.
No, there's no time for that unless they rest him.
Yeah, I mean, then you sit him down for the rest of the season. That's the end of the year.
Right.
Then you write off the season and you write off another year of eligibility for your players or whatever. I don't blame the organization for playing him. What I do blame the organization for is not sticking with a running game when they're a little bit behind and forcing him into must-throw situations that put him in unnecessary danger. That is a huge problem.
That happened the first week when they had those 2 4th downs where they went for it and they left Baker back there and he got killed. And then Schwartz did him the absolute favor by not helping defend that ball. And he had to pull a Drew Brees and get his shoulder messed up. I've seen this before. So,
yeah, I mean, it is, I feel badly that Baker Mayfield is hurt and he's not able to demonstrate his full repertoire. But the repertoire has to be broadened from season to season so you don't get stale. It can't be figured out by every team that you're playing. Thank you, Rick May. Yes, it's an astronomical quote by Rick. I know T-Tosh is just not into this kind of thing. I know you're not.
Hey, I just want to see something good come out of this, okay? Here's my opinion. He should sit and go with Keenum and let him get rested. And, but something's got to happen on the defense. All the hype that was put up for this team, and they said, we're going to do this, going to do that. Something's not right, If we have to have a players revolt and just, let them do kill on the play thing and see what they can do on defense. Because right now it's not working with Joe Wood. So, anyway,
the problem is once they go rogue, they're all jumping off sides. We've seen that too when the defense just goes rogue and doesn't pay attention to Greg Williams anymore. We already saw that.
Or they're, they're getting in fights on the sideline, or they're, hitting guys 6 yards out of bounds. We don't need that.
Joe, you tempt fate. He's coming out.
Oh, no.
He's coming out. He wants the world to know. Gotta let it show. Yeah, I mean, your good fortune is your good fortune. Don't run your good fortune into the ground. I will tell you something. The way that he got beat up and was constantly being blitzed from every different angle and didn't escape, he ain't as quick now, and he ain't going to be as quick as the season progresses, as his legs get beat up and gets hit. Damage is cumulative.
Right, it's a matter
What
of
we
time.
know is this. He's not going to be a running quarterback for the majority of his career, or else he's going to have a short career. He has to settle down, get into the pocket, and throw the forward pass. And he's done a good job of coming along that way. But if you're saying, he's not hurt, you're not waking up in his body. Do you know how many practices he has missed due to illness? Talking about an absolute bullshit euphemism. Illness. Like he woke up with a cold, he woke up with a cough, he needs Vicks VapoRub. What illness? The man has missed 8 practices already this year. 8. For no reason given except that he was ill. They said non-COVID, except the one time where it was last year, it was COVID. This year, no COVID. His body is getting beat up. Don't assume just because he's out there playing and looking handy dandy that he's not being shot up with God knows what, with butazolid like they do for the horses, the horse track, and that he looks great when he's on the field, but you're not in his body when he wakes up in the morning. Don't tempt fate, because that's when it gets you every time. And I don't think anybody believes that Keenum is better than Mayfield. I think the issue is either you want to be humane toward Baker and try to steer him away from doing what comes naturally to him, which is to be a belligerent fighter and to just go after things. And you want to be able to say, sometimes it's better to just kind of put your shield down instead of keep going into battle. It's kind of like having the mercy to stop a fight, watching the fighter that you trained taking a beating in the ring, and part of you saying, God, but if he lands that one punch, we could win. But then the other part of you saying, that's my guy in there, man, and he's getting beat up and he's getting brain damage. Brain cells are dying. Got to stop this. And I've seen some really cruel things in boxing where they allowed their guy to take way too much punishment. And I've seen graceful things when it was obvious their guy didn't have it. Early in the fight, they just said, forget this, because, you can't just, I was watching some YouTube video. Remember Butterbean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Butterbean, in his prime, if you wanted to call it a prime, with kind of like a prime beef, maybe.
Okay.
306 pounds. And he did actually have a few wins over some journeyman heavyweights. And he established himself as the undisputed champion and king of the 4-rounders. And, it was a good little gimmick, that got him a lot of attention.
And a lot of money.
Yeah. But nobody knows what happened to Butterbean. And fame is and your own feeling of indestructibility, and I'm talking about Baker now as well as Butterbean, you don't know when to stop. You don't know when to say enough. And that's the problem here. And I think there are some people who really care about Baker, and I think Titosh is one of them. I think I'm serious. I think that it's compassion because it's such a brutal business.
Yeah, it is.
And for the organization, it's about winning. For the press, it's about whatever they can write. And for me, I fall in the in-between, which is if the Browns are technically still in the race, I play my best horse. But once that goes away, I get him off the field as fast as I can. I kind of straddle the middle. Because you play Case Keenum, you're going to lose to the Ravens every time. You're going to lose to the Bengals. You're not going to be able to run up more than 17 to 20 points in a game. And the defense and the coordinator, who won't be fired until the end of the year, has shown no proclivity for being able to hold opponents to under 20 points consistently. So, it's where I stand on it. Butterbean, by the way, before I forget about what happened to him, once he slowed down, his weight ballooned up to 370 pounds. I'm not making this up. And he was still fighting at 370 pounds and not looking good. And he then made some bizarre decision that he was going to go MMA. And you can go on YouTube and watch the horrific things that happened to him in MMA in 3 separate fights where he got kicked in the head and he didn't know how to defend himself against, round kicks. And knocked out cold by round kicks 3 times. Then he came back into the ring to box again and got just battered and beaten to death. And that's the saddest of all because after, they finally stopped the fight and he's staggering around like a drunken bum. And it's like, for what? Baker Mayfield has a career in front of him. And if he wants to have one, there's going to have to be a point where common sense does take over. I don't think the Browns are good enough to go anywhere and make any kind of a run. But I think if we get by the Lions and we're 6-5, we go into Baltimore and we get hammered by the Ravens. If that's what happens, at 6 losses, I sit him. If we go in and we play and beat the Ravens and we get even with them, the 6th loss doesn't become that significant to me. The problem is there's so many teams hanging around 500 right now that you're technically in the race. We're already at 7 o'clock. I swear to God, this has been the fastest hour I've ever seen in my life. We got to pick this damn game. I will tell you that all over the internet, the belief is that the Browns will win. We will start with T-Tosh. What's going to happen? Tell us, oh wise one.
I think we're going to have a good game. Whoever's going to play quarterback, it may be Nick Mullins by the end of the game, but I think it's going to be 24-14, just because I think our defense would be so angry and they'll pick up Joe Woods and throw him into a trash can and start playing. I don't know. I just want something good to happen.
Yeah, you and me both. Brian?
With Nick Chubb back, I'm going to pick the Browns 23, Lions 13.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, and I think we're all pretty much on the same page here. And especially if we're looking at a quarterback who, and I'm going to put up on the screen some of Mel, oh ye of little faith.
What?
I'm not being a pessimist. The Browns are not that good a football team right now, Joe. And we'll see how good they are in the coming 3 weeks. The season ends if we lose 2 games to the Ravens. It's over. So, Krembley Q is saying the Browns, I don't know if we can pony up. Only if our defense gets turnovers. I'm going to say
2 long runs by Nick Chubb, maybe.
Yeah, the chunk plays that way. I'm going to say the Browns 27, and if Tim Boyle is the quarterback, I'm going to say the Lions will score 13. So 27-13, the Browns will win. There's our Ravens fan saying 38-10. I don't think we can get up to 38 points with the wide receivers we have, but we will see. 1 o'clock on Sunday, it all starts. The story tells itself in the end. As far as I want to point out something that it was heartbreaking watching the Cavaliers place 3 such great quarters against the Warriors and then just, falling apart. The Cavaliers do have an identity. They're playing defense. They're playing hard defense. They're moving up and down the floor, and they're playing selfless basketball. And that is an identity. It's just that there's a talent shortage because all of our guys are hurt right now. Cavaliers would be a 500 basketball team going on through the season, I believe, if we were healthy. We're playing without Jared Allen. We're playing without Evan Mobley. Jetty Osman was out the last game. He's got his back flaring up, which has happened on a number of occasions in prior seasons. And of course, Colin Sexton, who isn't sure whether he wants to have a repair or a meniscectomy done on a torn meniscus, and he's going to have to opt for the repair if they can do a repair. Depends if it's a longitudinal tear and where the tear is located. If they can, that's what it's going to be, but he's going to be gone for the year. It's a 3 to 6 month rehab on a repair compared to 4 to 6 weeks on a meniscectomy. Problem with the meniscectomy is they cut out a piece of your cartilage. You end up with a thinned area, and that's the start of arthritis that will fade your career prematurely. And with money on the line for Colin Sexton, he's going to opt to get the repair if it is feasible. So we're going to be without him for the entire year. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping the Browns come out and show some identity, and maybe we can create our own identity because the idiot on the defensive end doesn't seem to know what it is. And I want to see us get after the quarterback, and let's see if we can make it a little easier for our offense with some field position for a change. See if we can get some turnovers like we did against the Bengals. Look how easy that looked.
Well, it looked good that day.
Yeah.
And apparently Tom Hawley is going to go watch the Steve Miller Band. Drinking vodka and smoking pot.
Oh, he's the gangster of love. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. Go Browns. I'll see you again Sunday at halftime and postgame. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads.
Bye, Key.
Bye, Key.
All right, see you.